Bill Murray discovers he's the elephant man in Larger Than Life.
Marissa Tomei and Jenna Rollins change each other's lives in Unhook the Stars.
And Leonardo DiCaprio romances Claire Danes in a 90s version of Romeo and Juliet.
How about that?
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica, outstanding.
Oh, man.
No! What have you done? No! Oh, my gosh, who taught you how to hitchhike?
Bill Murray inherits a circus elephant and travels the country trying to unload it in the new comedy Larger Than Life on this week's show. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. Give Bill Murray credit. Very few stars who make his salary would even read a script like Larger Than Life. You mean I spend the whole movie walking around with and on top of an elephant? Robert Redford, Eddie Murphy, Dustin Hoffman? No way they'd do it. But that's what Bill Murray does in Larger Than Life. You're learning about his rather large inheritance.
There is the bulk of your inheritance.
Oh, no.
Murray plays another one of his smart aleck roles here, a small-time motivational speaker, and once on the road with the pachyderm, he needs the money. He tries to unload it on a San Diego zookeeper played in an offbeat cameo by the always entertaining Janine Garofalo.
I'll tell you what, you bring her here, I'll give you $30,000 for her.
How about this? You come here and get her, and you give me $36,000.
I can't go that high.
Well, I can't get her that far.
Bring her by rail.
How am I going to get an elephant to take a train?
You don't make an elephant do anything, sir. You treat her with respect, you show her that you care, and she'll want to take the train.
Excuse me, I just got to brush away a tear here.
Oddly enough, Larger Than Life works best when the film is human-sized, with Murray effortlessly delivering comic monologues such as this request at a salad bar.
How much is your salad bar?
$4.95.
I mean the entire salad bar. Your lunch crowd is over anyway, right? To go, please.
One sight gag that made me laugh for quite a while is this one, involving Murray trying and failing to properly drive a big rig for the first time. I appreciate him for doing his own stunts, and I enjoyed his constant befuddlement at his predicament and the wiseacre way he tries to overcome it. Larger Than Life isn't the best Bill Murray comedy of the year. Kingpin was 10 times as funny, but I still smiled enough at it to recommend it.
Well, Gene, to quote you from a couple of shows ago, come on, big guy, be a better critic, get tough, don't give this one a pass. You don't really think it's that good.
Oh, no, I do think it's funny. I think he's funny when he's alone just talking. I mean, ordering the whole salad bar, those were big laughs, and I had a lot of them with him himself.
Well, I'll tell you, I think you put your finger right on the flaw in the movie right at the beginning, and the flaw is the elephant. I thought the original opening scenes involving motivational speaking were very funny, and if he had played a motivational speaker, and if they had taken motivational slogans and books and banquet speakers as their target, it would have been a totally different movie and maybe a funny one. As for the elephant...
Well, now to quote you, of course, review the movie that they made.
I am reviewing the movie they made. It has too many pachyderms
That's
in
what
it.
I always want to say to you, Rogers. Of course we're reviewing the movie when we offer an alternative.
Okay, fine.
And the point is that the elephant isn't funny, but Murray is. And he's in the film constantly, so therefore, I'm not being soft. He made me laugh.
Okay, well, he didn't make me laugh enough to give it thumbs up.
Okay.
Next movie, and we turn now to a much better film, a new Cassavetes film. No, not by the great John Cassavetes, who died in 1989, but from the same family firm. Unhook the Stars features Jenna Rollins, who is Cassavetes' widow, and it was co-written and directed by their son, Nick. And it shares some of the trademarks of Cassavetes' films. Not only a touching performance by Jenna Rollins, but also a portrait of a dysfunctional woman trying to raise a child while her personal life falls to pieces. The young woman, played by Marissa Tomei, lives across the street from Rollins, and they meet because she desperately needs a babysitter.
JJ's father's been unexpectedly called out of town. I'm sorry, whatever. He's just out of town. He's gone, and I'm stuck.
Rollins plays a woman living on her husband's pension who is happy to take care of the little boy because she likes him and she needs the company. Tomei's private life is a shambles, and the older woman tries to offer some advice.
I don't want to butt in, but just be straight with your husband. Because I know you don't believe it, but he will stop loving you.
Amazingly, Rollins discovers her own romantic life is not over. She encounters a truck driver from Quebec, played by Gerard Depardieu, who finds himself very attracted to her.
I had a good time tonight, Mildred. You're a real piece of work. 100% woman.
Nick Cassavetes' Unhook the Stars is put together in a more conventional, well-made fashion than his father's films, but it shares the same values. He shows us the daily lives of ordinary people. He lets them talk about what they deeply care about. He shows how people find strength even in the middle of crisis, and all with a lot of passion. I liked all of the performances, especially Rollins and Tomei, and the subtle way both women always have the welfare of the little boy in mind.
I didn't care for the film that much, Roger. I liked Jenna Rollins very much, but I'm watching this picture, of course, realizing that this is sort of like a fourth or fifth level carbon copy of some of the great independent American films of all time, the entire work of John Cassavetes. And I saw the themes. I just saw, when I would see echoes of, even though this is women, the movie Husbands, scenes that, just pictures that.
If this movie had been directed by Nick Jones, you would have said, well, it's just a fifth-generation carbon copy of a John Cassavetes film?
I would have said yes.
No, you wouldn't
If it had Jenna Rollins in it, yes, because the echoes are very clear and constant throughout this picture.
I think that what this movie has to be looked at is exactly what it is.
Of course I did that.
And it's not made in the low-budget, 16mm independent venue where Cassavetes made such great work. This is a mainstream film and a very well-made one.
Cassavetes worked in 35mm at the end of his career, and this picture I cited...
That's irrelevant to my point.
You brought it up. I didn't bring it up. The fact is, I've seen these situations handled much better where I felt that the people were really emotionally at risk, whereas they were mining, in the case of Rollins, frequently mining old territory.
I would like to meet another person who likes this film less than Larger Than Life.
Coming up next, Romeo and Juliet, set in the present day with two hot young actors, Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Who is it that you love?
Gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, renounce faith.
That's Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes as Shakespeare's star-crossed lovers in a visually dazzling contemporary retelling of Romeo and Juliet, a version that I think has as much to say about guns as it does about love. The 400-year-old play tells of young lovers doomed by their quarreling families, and in this update, set in the present and filmed mostly in and around Mexico City, Romeo, Leonardo DiCaprio, has crashed a costume ball hosted by the wealthy Capulet family, sworn enemies of his own Montague clan.
Did my heart love till now? Forswear its sight, for I never saw true beauty till this night.
Her parents intend for her to marry that well-to-do young man, but Juliet will have none of it.
Now, by St. Peter's Church and Peter too, he shall not make me there a joyful bride.
As for Romeo, he is in deep trouble with the rival Capulet gang for crashing that costume ball.
Villain am I none. Therefore, farewell.
Boy, this shall not excuse the injuries that thou hast done me.
There are three recurring images in the picture: lovers underwater, purified newborns, I think, also giant crucifixes reminding us of the way, the truth, and the light, and also guns, lavishly decorated and polished guns. This version of Romeo and Juliet reminds us of very real threats and very real options to young lovers today. Thumbs up for me.
Thumbs way down for me. I think this movie is a complete mess. I knew something was terribly wrong when the balcony scene pays off by them falling into the swimming pool and doing most of the great lines of that scene while treading water. Thought that was a mistake. There were two problems with Shakespeare's language in this film. Well, half of it they shout, half of it they mumble, and none of it do they really comprehend or deliver in an intelligible way. The only actor in the movie who really gets Shakespeare's language across is Pete Postlethwaite, playing Friar Lawrence, or Father Lawrence as he's called here. He knows how to say the language. Claire Danes is a wonderful presence on screen. Leonardo DiCaprio, we've praised many times.
Right.
These people are not Shakespearean actors, and they don't do even a little bit of what, for example, the cast of Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet did in 1968.
Roger, you like nothing...
I think this movie is pretty much of a missed opportunity.
Obviously, we differ. Coming up next, Greg Kinnear goes to work in the dead letter office in Dear God.
Coffee break. New guy gotta watch The Office.
It's tradition. No, I don't really know how any...
I'm on my break, sugar.
Greg Kinnear plays a Los Angeles con man who was sentenced by a judge to find a real job but ends up working in the dead letter office of the Los Angeles Post Office. That's the setup for Dear God, a sappy comedy that drags itself from one smarmy situation to another. He's put to work sorting letters, and when he finds one addressed to God, his co-workers John Seda and Anna Maria Horsford explain office procedures.
We put all the Dear God mail over here.
In the loony bin, bin C.
Subdivided into loony bin boxes. You got one for Superman, Elvis, the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny, and God.
One woman wants God to give her hot running water. Kinnear, who wants to help her, accidentally mails her his paycheck. His fellow workers are tickled by the idea of making people happy, and they start opening more letters to God.
Postal workers could use a better image.
Yeah, everybody thinks I'm going to lose it and take people out with an AK-47. Crazy, huh?
And, of course, the whole story ends up in a courtroom, the lazy screenwriter's friend, where there was a trial that I think they prepared for by watching Miracle on 34th Street over and over and over again. Dear God isn't bright enough or original enough, and it's rarely surprising. It seems to have been generated by some kind of cloning machine.
Oh, it's just awful. Did you have this experience? They spend so much time in the caverns of the post office. I felt the film was actually claustrophobic. I mean, in other words, I wanted them to break out and get out. Much more quickly.
No, that didn't bother me. I just thought of it as a set, like any other set.
Yeah, but like a set of a play rather than a movie. It was so. And then you have the system where each character is going to have their one little scene with him, and it's just tired, deadly boring.
You're right. Coming up next, one of the greatest movies ever made. So I guess there's no suspense about where our thumbs are. One of the most personal psychological dramas of all time has been lovingly restored. Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo is next.
Kind of a brand new taste, eh, miss? Sweet, tangy, schwangy might cover it. New tangerine orange from Tropicana Pure Premium. Perfect.
Hello, I have your son. Give me $2 million.
They thought they had him. I can't help him. Right where they wanted.
Dad, help the car!
Until he did what they never expected.
I'm offering this money as a reward on your head.
Mel Gibson.
You still have a chance to do the right thing.
In a Ron Howard film.
If you don't, then God be with you, because nobody else on this earth will be.
I will never, ever quit. Give me back my son! Ransom. Rated R. Starts Friday, November 8th.
Now, with 50% more tender filet than before, McDonald's new Fish Filet Deluxe is sure to satisfy your grown-up needs and desires. For lunch. It's McDonald's with a grown-up taste.
Director Alfred Hitchcock is one of the true masters of the cinema, but because of his hit TV show, he's usually tagged with the qualifier Master of Suspense. Well, he was much more than that, and in no film is this more obvious than Vertigo from 1958, a study of obsessive fear and longing, with James Stewart playing a detective who has a fear of heights. Here's the famous way we're introduced to his phobia in a chase over the rooftops of San Francisco.
Give me your hand.
Racked by guilt and fear and unable to perform his police duties, Stewart is soon hired by an old friend to shadow the man's possibly suicidal wife, played by Kim Novak. Stewart ends up falling in love with this woman, but he is actually being set up in an elaborate con that Hitchcock lets us in on well before the movie is over, a bold, dramatic move. Unaware of being tricked as part of a murder cover-up, Stewart becomes unglued during the trip the lovers take to an old mission church. with his new love apparently dead, Stewart spots a woman who reminds him of her, and he begins to make her over in the image of his seemingly dead fantasy. Kim Novak, of course, plays both roles.
We could just see a lot of each other.
Why? Does it remind you of her?
And here in the film's most powerful scene is the moment of the makeover, and pay attention to the imagery as well as the heartbreaking musical score by the great Bernard Herrmann. The print of Vertigo, like so many films of the 1950s, was in terrible shape, and it's been restored by the team of Robert Harris and James C. Katz, who, separately or together, have worked similar wonders with Spartacus and Lawrence of Arabia and My Fair Lady. The soundtrack is being heard in stereo for the first time since its initial release. If you haven't seen Vertigo from the master Alfred Hitchcock in a theater, I envy your first time.
It's a wonderful film. And you know, what's so poignant about that last scene that you showed is that she, and I'm not giving anything away because you said it's the same woman, she loves him for himself enough to pretend to be this other woman. He loves this fantasy woman more than the flesh and blood woman in front of him. And as the two of them come together, there's so much poignancy and so much irony and so much passion going on in that room. It's one of the greatest erotic and passionate scenes ever put on film.
Well, let's get even more specific. It can stand for a lot of marital relationships.
Yes,
I mean, let's nail it right down.
Yes,
and I think we really ought to credit the writers of the film as well. When we come back, we've got more thumbs on our two new segments, the Revolving Thumb and the Viewer's Thumb.
What's going on down there?
The film everyone's been looking for is now on video.
All right, men, let's move, move, move!
It's full of incredible thrills.
To infinity and beyond!
Non-stop action.
This is no time to panic. This is the perfect time to panic!
And everyone's favorite characters.
I am Buzz Lightyear. Hello? We're here!
It's the one video you've just got to own.
If you don't have one, get one!
Disney's award-winning Toy Story. Now on video for you to own.
The Century Plaza, offering the finest in luxury, service, and Southern California style, adjacent to Beverly Hills on LA's fashionable West Side. The Century Plaza Hotel and Tower, a Westin hotel.
And now, once again, the revolving thumb goes around and around, and my thumb this week points down, way down, to the silly, misinformed, harmful people who are spreading untrue rumors about Spike Lee's wonderful new film, Get on the Bus. This is the kind of film we need more of, a drama following 20 black men on a cross-country trip to the Million Man March and taking a thoughtful look at their lives and opinions.
Keep your voice down.
I forgot. You can't let your macho self out of the closet.
He said, you're not man enough to admit that you love me to him.
Get on the Bus deserves to be applauded, as Gene and I did on our show. But a column by Laura S. Washington in the Chicago Tribune reports that some African Americans are calling, amazingly, for a boycott of this movie. One protester doesn't like it because two of the characters are homosexual. I guess he doesn't see anything wrong with discrimination as long as it's against gays instead of blacks. It makes me really sad to think that when a thoughtful, powerful film about an important black subject gets made, there are people in the African American community eager to shoot it down or to shoot themselves in the foot. And of course, it goes without saying that none of the critics cited in the column had actually seen the film themselves. You don't need much information to be ignorant. The revolving thumb points down on the misguided, uninformed boycott of Get on the Bus.
It is absolutely ridiculous, and again, the key, of course, is that the people have not seen the picture.
Yes.
So often, when you have these boycotts of pictures, you can just count on the fact that no one has cared enough to take a look at the film.
It's very sad.
Now it's time for the Viewer's Thumb, our new segment where you're invited to send a 20-second commentary in care of the Viewer's Thumb, Post Office Box 4400, Chicago, Illinois, 60680, and frame yourself head and shoulders only. And our guest critical opinion this week comes from William Cooper of Los Angeles, who attacks Roger for dumping on Gina Davis's stunt spectacular, The Long Kiss Goodnight.
I mean, these are some of the most wonderfully improbable and exciting stunts I've seen in movies in a long time. And after a while, you simply have to give in to the sheer pleasure of the film. And given the fact that you gave a thumbs-up review to the disastrous Cutthroat Island, Rennie Harlan's previous film, this seriously undermines your position on The Long Kiss Goodnight and I think the film definitely deserves a second look from you, Roger.
That was exactly how I saw the film. I did surrender to its over-the-top quality, and I think what we saw here was the visceral reaction of a moviegoer, like me, who got his money's worth out of a real movie and appreciated the extraordinary efforts from Gina Davis and her director husband, Rennie Harlan. It's hard to think of a movie that tries harder to please than The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Oh, I can think of one, and the name of it is Cutthroat Island. Now.